Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into a thought experiment that's as fascinating as it is unsettling, one that forces us to question our deepest assumptions about life, sentience, and our place in the natural world. Imagine, for a moment, a universe where the rustling leaves of a towering oak tree are not merely responding to the wind, but are instead a collective sigh of discomfort. Picture the vibrant hues of a freshly cut bouquet, not as a celebration of beauty, but as a silent scream of agony. What if the luscious, crisp apple you bite into wasn't just a treat, but an act of profound, agonizing pain for the tree it came from? What if plants, in all their silent, green glory, actually felt pain? This isn't just a whimsical notion. It's a concept that challenges the very foundation of how we interact with the botanical world, how we farm, how we eat, and even how we define life itself. For centuries, humanity has operated under the assumption that plants, lacking brains and nervous systems as we understand them, are incapable of experiencing pain. We harvest, prune, cultivate, and consume them with the comfort of knowing, or at least believing, that our actions cause no suffering. But what if that belief was fundamentally, catastrophically wrong? What if the subtle biochemical signals, the electrical impulses, the intricate communication networks that scientists are only just beginning to unravel within the plant kingdom were not just mechanisms for survival and growth, but also conduits for a profound, agonizing sensation of hurt? Think about the sheer scale of plant life on Earth. Every breath we take, every meal we eat, every piece of wooden furniture, every cotton shirt, all intricately linked to the plant kingdom. If each of these interactions involved inflicting pain, the moral landscape of our planet would instantly be transformed into a vast, silent battlefield of suffering. The gentle caress of a gardener tending to their roses would become an act of casual cruelty. The vast fields of wheat swaying in the breeze would be a testament to billions of lives brought into agonizing existence, only to be brutally extinguished for our sustenance. This isn't just about a philosophical debate. It's about the potential for a complete paradigm shift in our understanding of life, demanding a radical reevaluation of our ethical responsibilities towards every living organism on this planet. Implications are staggering, and today we're going to explore them in detail, venturing into a world where every snap of a twig, every plucked flower, every harvested crop is met with an unseen, unheard cry of pain. Truly understand what it would mean if plants felt pain, we first need to define what pain actually is. For humans and animals, pain is typically understood as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, often mediated by specialized nerve cells called nociceptors and processed by a central nervous system. This complex system allows us to detect harmful stimuli and react to them, primarily as a survival mechanism. Plants, as we know, do not possess brains, spinal cords, or the equivalent of human nociceptors. However, they do exhibit remarkable responses to damage and stress. For instance, when a plant is attacked by pests or injured, it releases a cascade of chemical signals, such as jasminates, that can trigger defense responses in itself and even alert neighboring plants. Some studies have also shown that plants can transmit electrical signals, similar to animal nerve impulses, in response to touch or injury, leading to rapid changes in gene expression or the production of defensive compounds. These responses, while sophisticated, are generally considered to be protective mechanisms rather than evidence of subjective, conscious experience of pain. But what if, in our hypothetical scenario, these very mechanisms were the conduits for pain? What if the release of those jasminates was akin to an animal's scream, and those electrical impulses were the firing of botanical nociceptors, relaying a message of intense suffering? If plants genuinely felt pain, the most immediate and devastating impact would be on agriculture. Consider the scale of global food production. Billions of tons of crops, wheat, rice, corn, soy, fruits, vegetables are harvested annually to feed a planet of over 8 billion people. In a world where plants experience pain, every harvest would become a mass act of immense suffering. Imagine the combine harvester, a marvel of modern agricultural efficiency, transforming into a monstrous instrument of botanical torture, its blades tearing through fields of sentient wheat, each stalk screaming in silent agony as it's severed and threshed. The entire process, from plowing the soil and disturbing delicate root systems to pruning fruit trees and plucking leaves, would be a continuous cycle of inflicting pain. Farmers, previously seen as life-givers, would effectively become the orchestrators of unparalleled suffering. How would a society, suddenly aware of the agonizing screams of its food sources, continue to function? The very act of eating, once a simple necessity or pleasure, would become an ethical nightmare, a direct participation in widespread pain. The ethical implications would quickly ripple outwards, challenging the core tenets of our food systems. Veganism and vegetarianism, often adopted to reduce animal suffering, would face a profound crisis. If plants also feel pain, then what would be left to eat? Lab-grown meat and synthetic foods, which aim to bypass traditional animal agriculture, would be the only truly pain-free options, but their current scalability and nutritional completeness are still subjects of ongoing research and development. The transition to such a system would be monumental, potentially leading to widespread food shortages, economic collapse, and a complete redefinition of what constitutes a sustainable and ethical diet. Furthermore, the concept of pest control would become an even more horrifying dilemma. Currently, we employ pesticides and herbicides to protect crops from insects and weeds. In our hypothetical world, these actions would not only be killing, but actively inflicting torturous pain on countless living beings. The very act of fostering a healthy plant, by removing competitors or threats, would become fraught with moral quandaries. Beyond our plates, the implications for everyday life would be equally transformative. Our urban landscapes, currently adorned with carefully manicured lawns, vibrant flower beds, and majestic street trees, would become landscapes of chronic botanical anguish. Every push of a lawnmower would be a cacophony of unseen pain, every pruning of a hedge a painful amputation. Public parks, designed for human enjoyment and tranquility, would be bustling with suffering, their carefully cultivated beauty masking a profound, collective hurt. A simple act of picking a flower for a loved one would transform from a gesture of affection into an act of violence. Even our homes, often filled with houseplants, would become spaces where silent suffering constantly occurs, every dropped leaf, every forgotten watering, every repotting causing distress. The construction industry would face an existential crisis. Deforestation, already a significant environmental concern, would become an act of mass murder and torture on an unimaginable scale, as vast tracts of sentient forests are cleared for urban expansion, agriculture, or timber. Think of the sheer volume of wood used in building houses, furniture, paper, and countless other products. Each piece would represent a life, or part of a life, that experienced excruciating pain during its harvesting and processing. A reliance on plant-derived materials, cotton for clothing, rubber for tires, plant-based fuels, would all come under intense ethical scrutiny. Humanity would be forced to radically alter its consumption patterns, seeking out pain-free alternatives, or facing the moral burden of pervasive, daily cruelty. The economic impact would be catastrophic, as industries reliant on plant products would collapse or be forced to undergo impossible transformations. This radical shift would force humanity into a profound philosophical and ethical reckoning. The very definition of life and sentience would need to be reevaluated. If plants feel pain, does that mean they also experience emotions? Do they have a form of consciousness? Our anthropocentric view of the world, where humans are at the apex of intelligence and feeling, would be shattered. New ethical frameworks would need to be developed, not just for animal rights, but for plant rights. Would we develop pain-dampening technologies for plants before harvest? Would we engineer plants that are genetically incapable of feeling pain, raising a whole new set of ethical questions about genetic manipulation and the right to experience sensation? Our relationship with the natural world, currently one of dominion and utility, would have to evolve into one of profound respect, stewardship, and perhaps even apology. It would be confronted with the uncomfortable truth that life, in all its forms, is interconnected and capable of experiences far beyond our current understanding, demanding a complete overhaul of our moral compass and our place in the web of existence. This thought experiment, while purely hypothetical, serves as a powerful reminder of how little we truly understand about the complex and diverse forms of life that share our planet. It compels us to look beyond our own species-specific understanding of existence and to consider the profound implications of sentience, even in forms we cannot yet fully comprehend. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos.